Hello and welcome to another episode. I am Brian, the Unskilled Commander, and this is High Octane. This series is about showing off my decks and seeing just how fast they can win the game if they have the perfect storm setup. The absolute best 7 cards opening hand and the next 10 cards stacked exactly in the order to best utilize the deck itself. This assumes no interaction from your opponents, no counters, no board wipes, no targeted removal, which in and of itself is virtually impossible. Someone's always going to have something to do with your board state, it's fine. But this is more of a thought experiment, High Octane. It's about looking at the decks and seeing how fast can it truly win a game, and then looking at that information and saying, well, does it need to be faster? Is it only winning on turn 20? Well, that's too long. How do you speed it up? What do you need to do? What's wrong with the deck? Things like that. And it's just a lot of fun to see just how fast you can do it. Normally, you play a game, they go on for about an hour, bounce back and forth. Someone takes the lead, and then someone else takes it back. You never get to truly see your deck go off 100% full throttle. And that's what this is about. Today's episode, Azusa Lost But Seeking, my big green dumb monster stompy deck. These are extremely easy to make. Big green stompy monsters is pretty much the easiest deck in Magic, Commander, and otherwise. It's all about lots of mana ramp, mana rocks, and getting giant creatures out with trample and swinging in for combat damage. Therein lies the problem with this one, however. Because it's combat damage, it does mean it's a little iffy in terms of when it's going to win. Will it go through completely? Because most people are going to be playing creatures. We can kind of assume within this perfect storm that, okay, maybe everybody's getting mana screwed, mana flooded, and they're only able to get out to 1/1s and 2/2s, things with effects. Or maybe it's their commander and they don't want to block with their commander because it's pivotal to their win con, which is valid, but at the same time, you're kind of reaching a little bit. Based on what I can see, this deck should win on turn 8. However, it's probably more like turn 12 because people will be blocking. We're going to just kind of assume whatever happens, that somehow they're not blocking or the blocks are so minimal that it's not going to affect the speed of the deck. And turn 8 isn't all that fast, but it's still fun. Let's go ahead and jump in and see exactly what Azusa is capable of. Turn 1, we draw. We play a forest, tapping that for a soul ring, and tapping that for Staff of Titania. Equipped creature gets +X/+X, where X is the number of forests you control. And whenever creature attacks, create a 1/1 green forest dryad land creature token, which means that as soon as it goes to declare attack, it makes one more forest and buffs itself slightly more. Now that's all we can do on turn 1. We pass, it goes around the table, comes back to us. We untap. We draw for turn. We play a forest. We tap the forest and soul ring to play Azusa Lost But Seeking. She says you may play 2 additional lands on each of your turns, which we will do. That gives us 3 extra mana, but unfortunately we can't do anything with it just yet. We could equip the staff to Azusa, but that would be a waste. We're going to pass. It goes around the table again. People are starting to do whatever or complaining about being mana flooded or mana screwed, and it's back to us. We untap. We draw for turn. We drop another forest. Then we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to play Caged Sun. As it enters the battlefield, we choose a color. We're choosing green, obviously. Creatures of the chosen color get +1/+1, and whenever a land taps for that chosen color, you produce 1 extra mana. So now all my forests tap for 2 green mana. We have 1 forest untapped, but again, nothing we can do with it right now. But Azusa is getting a tiny little buff from Caged Sun. It's a 2/3 now. We can theoretically send that at our first target. Maybe it gets through for 2 damage. Maybe it takes out their little 1/1 blocking token or something like that. It's not hugely important to the structure of the win con here, but it's a little extra damage thrown in early on. We'll take some damage on the crackback as it goes around the table, but that's it. It comes back around to us. We untap, upkeep, draw for turn, play another forest. Now we tap 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 with 1 floating to play Giant Adaphage. It's a 7/7 trample insect. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, create a token that's a copy of it. We have that one floating, and we will tap Soul Ring to then equip Staff of Titania to the giant insect. It doesn't have haste, so we still can't do anything just yet. We pass one more time, goes around the table. Maybe we attacked with Azusa on our turn. If someone was open, they probably weren't, but maybe we do it to make them block and sacrifice a 2-2 or a 1-1 or something like that. And even if Azusa dies, it's not affecting the game plan at this point. Comes back to us, we untap, we upkeep, we draw, we play a forest, we move to combat. We swing Giant Ataphage at our first target, possibly the same one that took damage off of Azusa. When it attacks, it makes a little forest dryad. We swing with the giant insect, and now it is a 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. It is a 16-16 with trample, swinging at one player. We'll assume it connects, dealing 16 damage to that person. When it connects, it makes a copy of itself. On our second main phase, we're going to go ahead and tap 2 forests to make 4 mana with 1 floating to play Blanchwood Armor on the second insect. It's an enchantment. Enchanted creature gets +X/+X, where X is the number of forests you control. Now we have 2 of them that are currently 16-16s. We pass turn, everyone's sweating bullets because now you've got some major heavy hitters on the field. But for whatever reason, they can't do anything about it. Comes back around to us. We untap, upkeep, draw for turn, play a forest, buffing our creatures even more, and we move to combat. We now swing both giant insects at the person that we already did major damage to. On attack, it makes one more little dryad forest. So now 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. They are both 18-18s. They connect. That person is now eliminated, and we are down to 2 opponents. When they both connect, though, it makes 2 more giant insects because it's a copy of the first giant Ataphage, and they both say when they connect, make a copy. Now these ones are just 7/7s with the static buff for Caged Sun, so they're 8/8s. I don't have any more equipment to give them giant plus forests like before, but that's fine. It goes around the table. No one knows what to do. It comes back to us. They've been probably hitting, swinging in. We do have blockers now. These can probably block some decent creatures. I would suggest that we don't even block with the little dryads because we need them for the forest buff. It comes back to us. We untap, upkeep, draw. We play 1 more forest, and we move to combat. We swing the 2 big ones at our second main target, and the 2 little ones, the 8/8s, at our third target. On the attack declaration, it makes 1 more little dryad. So now it's a 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. They are 20/20s. They connect. They absolutely destroy the second opponent. These little 8/8s, theoretically, maybe they get through, maybe they get blocked with something. In either case, it doesn't really matter because these 2 are going to then make 2 more giant Ataphages. Even if we assume these ones don't connect and make an additional 2. It's now down to 1 opponent. We are on turn 8. It comes back to us. Untap, upkeep, play our last forest, and swing the entire board. These 2 21/21s and 4 8/8s. There's no way they can survive that. Bam! We just won the game with big green stompy insect creatures. Again, the likelihood of them not even having blockers is ridiculously unrealistic, but it's fine. It's all about the thought experiment. It's about the fun of it. And turn 8's really not that fast. So could the deck go faster? Maybe. I'm not sure, because I think that's probably a creature that has trample and makes copies of itself is pretty much your best bet to get through. I had fun with this one. It took a little time trying to figure out exactly what to do, because there's a lot of great creatures in here that have trample, but it came down to the insect that was able to copy itself, and of course giving them those great buffs where it utilizes the land. I didn't even need to bother stacking creatures or equipment. It was all just about making sure I had more forests to play. Maybe I could have tossed in a couple ramp spells that would go get more forests, but even then, the ramp spells are only going to pull in, at best, 2 forests instead of just playing 1. But then again, that would have given everybody a couple extra damage each turn. So those are possible ways to make it even stronger, but not necessarily faster. I hope you enjoyed watching. I hope you saw some cool cards that you want to play in your own decks, and I will see you next time.